Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Johnita Stanton. We have Reginald Perryman, Shaka Williams. We are Tasari. This is the There's Something About Real Estate podcast where we talk all things real estate. What up, though?
That
Boom,
was the
boom,
thing.
boom,
Right.
boom.
Yeah, what up,
Wait,
though?
1, 2, 3.
Oh, yeah.
What up, though? We have tonight with us for I don't know, it's like your third time on.
It's my third time.
On with
Third
us,
time.
Miss Erica Simpson, no longer of one company but of another one. Go ahead, introduce yourself, girl. What
Erica
you done
Simpson, Next Door Lending. Just started there February 1st, kicked off Black History Month, right?
All right.
After 14 years at Gold Star Lending. So this space is new.
Right.
I'm the branch manager and it's a broker. We're also a lender. And so move to grow.
Mm-hmm.
Right, I started to get a little complacent there at Gold Star, comfortable. So this has started me to stretch a little, looking for some loan officers. If you guys want to get some training, and we have 84 lenders.
I told her I'm quitting today.
She not quitting today. She not quitting today. Y'all. I told her I'm a helper. So it's new. It is a learning curve for me, but I'm excited to be in this new space. I got my partner William Hawkins and Sean Williams, and so we are doing some great big things here. So
All right,
just looking forward,
congratulations.
to growth.
So y'all want to hear something funny?
Yeah.
Well, I think I told y'all at some point in time I do have a mortgage license. But when I decided that I was going to go under their umbrella and be part of their team, they made me fill out a job application. I couldn't believe it.
That was difficult, wasn't it?
I was like, what? I did not sign up for this. I did not agree to apply for a job.
That was difficult for me as well. We haven't filled out loan applications. I mean, a job application in 20-some years being
They asked for
self-employed.
a resume.
A resume that I did not have.
I was like, what?
Yeah,
You should have called me.
it was
I would
difficult.
have got you ready,
I
girl.
am the resume.
Right.
But anyway, so what's been going on? What you up to?
Everything.
Everything.
In Detroit.
All right.
Reggie voice.
Okay. So I think we were all kind of hanging at an event last night, and it was pretty cool. Bunch of investors. Definitely the plugs are out there if you know
Right.
looking for different things on the investment end, ways to learn and grow and mentor. But we had some different perspectives on what left the room, that you actually get what you needed. And they were kind of talking about how to invest. And then,
Right.
more specifically, probably they were focusing a lot of what's going on in Detroit and how to invest in Detroit.
Right.
So I spoke to Erica and she felt like, how did you feel after the meeting?
I was disappointed.
But why?
If I'm an investor and I'm coming to an investment group or an event, I want you to teach me how to invest. And a lot of storytelling, and I'm proud of everybody that was there. And I can appreciate that. But as a lender, as someone in my business, I need the blueprint. I give blueprints. They didn't give any blueprints. And so I sat there and I listened intently to the numbers of speakers, but we don't know how they got started. We know what they did,
Right.
but we don't know where they got started. So for someone like myself who is not an experienced investor, like we talked about the last time I flipped and how that was a complete nightmare, if I was looking to invest there, I would have left with a ton of questions. So um,
And then you had some.
I had a ton of.
Yeah, and we have some. And so what I did was we had this conversation. This is like
Right.
throughout the day. We was at the salon getting our hair done and things like that.
Right.
And
Let
I
me-
hit Erica. Go ahead.
Let me say something. So the event, that was my idea, that we were teaching people how to invest specifically in Detroit
Mhm.
because everybody there were already investors, or probably 95% of the room were experienced investors.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the investor meetup.
I
They-
think I think that it's maybe 25% of the room.
No,
was
it's more
investors.
than that. that
What you think?
attend those,
It
because you gotta
definitely ain't
look at how
90.
many members, then how many speakers, and then they get newbies there, but not too many.
Most of them
And
people didn't know what they
So
was
that's one
doing.
of the things I saw that because I've been a few times,
right,
and it did seem to be that because of some of the people that they had on the panel, now you did have some people who probably wouldn't have known about the space.
right,
They're not exposed to it, and they can kind of go back.
yeah,
Um, but I think that it was a lot of I think that it was a lot of newbie investors, people so like Erica. Erica has done an investment,
right,
but she has not done more than one flip, right?
right,
And then you have people there who are like wholesalers.
right,
Some of the young men that we spoke to, they had gotten their first contract as a wholesaler
right,
and they were waiting to close still. And they didn't know very much about their transaction and, really how they got there. There was experience, like some of the people that were there, they're kind of like, we have wholesale teams, we have money, those people,
right.
I think, so maybe 60-40.
Well, I'm going by the people I met and then the people I already know,
Hmm.
Mhm.
right? And I just think that so when I first heard about the event, I was like, oh, they're learning how to invest in Detroit because they already know how to invest.
Mhm.
They just need to know to
Detroit.
understand the nuances of Detroit. But when I seen the panelists and how it was going, I was like, oh, they're introducing people that do Detroit investments. So if you want to learn, you need to
Hmm.
connect with these particular
Mm.
I
people.
mean, sorry.
Yeah.
So that was a
I
different
took I
perspective.
had a good take. So
Yeah.
like I had a good take. Like I felt I was tired and no I didn't want to sit there for all the time, but I had a good experience. My experience was very different from Erica's experience.
Right.
But I do want to talk tonight about how to invest and how to invest especially here in Detroit. And I kind of did like let's do a run through this list and see. So this is kind of like remember we did that one episode. We're not gonna
Yep.
be able to talk about all these bullet points. We can get a couple, but I wanna see what y'all think about the order. So I did must have a formula.
All right. What's the formula, real quick?
Um it's a percentage of the ARV. So
Right.
we like 65%. Some investors go up to 75%. But I haven't really heard
Do you
many.
understand what that is?
I'm in real estate or
Right.
mortgages, so I understand it. So that's something I felt that should have been talked about.
Right.
Because when Shaka came to our house, we wanted to know if this was a good deal or not, right?
Right.
We had no idea of the formula because that was a bad deal,
Mhm.
right? So we ended up
Right.
putting too much money in the house. And it looked like we made a ton of money, right? But we didn't. Had we had the formula, we probably wouldn't have bought the house, or I could have spoke to the seller and said, hey, this deal isn't great. So 65%, that's big though.
Well,
What does
Yep.
that be?
well, that's not a that's so that formula isn't like set in stone.
Hmm.
That's each individual's.
Has their own formula.
Yeah, like some people don't even use that formula. Some
And
people say if I make $20,000, regardless of what that could be 90% of
Yeah.
it.
right.
You know what I mean? So that's just but I think that's a safe number though. I feel like
Yeah,
that's
the
That's
for an
very
65
safe.
is,
experienced
65 is
investor.
very
Yeah.
conservative.
but
Yeah.
70 to 75 is average, around
Yes.
But I
70.
feel like if you're a newbie investor, so that's what I was telling them.
Yep.
Like for them, it would have allowed them for their mistakes as a first time investor.
Right.
You know what I mean? They would have been at the 65%, then they could have made all the errors and still
It still
made
made
money.
money.
You know
Yep.
what I mean?
Hmm. But I think to like what Shaka just said, for me always, I've never had to like break the bank. I would love to, but if I turn a good profit, so for me, I kind of look at it. Well, what did I add to my year? You may look at it different. You may look at it different, But for me, it's like, especially when had like dual career and had another job, I'm like, shit, if I made $40,000 at work and then I just went and made another 10 or 20, now my income just increased by 20. So it's just, I think you have to really understand what you want for yourself and what your goals are.
Right.
Literally, because like for me, it's how much time did I spend to make the money.
And for me, it's time and money at risk. So, for example, if I have to put money up and it's gonna be a 6-month project, I need to make that much more money than if it was a 3-month project for the same amount of money, right? Because I'm risking my time and my money where I can put that money somewhere else and make more money with it. So I'm always comparing it to other options. And sometimes if it doesn't fit in your formula, it's best to just wait and find a deal that does.
For sure.
You know,
100% agree with that.
So we just answered like 3 of
But
those.
did you hear? But she need to understand what everybody just said. So I'm sorry. Did you say yours? Yeah,
Believe
you
so.
said it. You
Yeah.
did. But so what you would need to understand there is Reggie saying he's spending his money. So he taking his money from somewhere else that's either making money somehow, right?
Right.
He taking it from there. So if he's placing it in this other investment in this real estate deal, then he needs to make more than what he's making wherever he's taking it from, which makes all the sense in the world, right?
Right.
But I don't like to use my own money. So I don't have that same perspective. You know what I
Right.
mean? I prefer not to use my money. So
Jumping the gun.
typically, well, no, because we're talking about our strategies and why we coming up with our strategy, right?
Mhm.
Right.
And so I don't like to use my own money, so I don't I don't care as much as him. Like Reggie be on a tight deadline.
Yeah.
You know what I
But
mean?
even when I'm doing hard money lending, I'm the same way.
So hard money puts you on a deadline, but but I'm not as tight. So
Right.
now that's when I'm structuring my loan. My
Right.
lender based on how quickly I plan on getting it done.
Right.
Mhm.
You get what
Right.
I mean? But then so I have another business though, so you got to keep this in mind. So I have another business. This was one of the things that actually all of us run into.
Right.
Anybody that investment with me has run into this problem is uh, so I make more money in my primary business,
Right.
right, as a contractor than I do on the flip. So the flip is going to be placed on the back burner because of
Right.
what Reggie's saying. You know what I mean? Like shit. Go do that flip, I gotta lose money that doing somebody else's project. So
So let me ask
you
you
know,
this, Erica. So the amount of money you made off of that flip, right? How long would it take you to make that money as a loan rep closing loans?
We actually lost on
Right.
that deal.
So
I mean, the goal was if I could make 30,000 in
right.
6 months, it would have been worth it to me.
Right. So that becomes your formula or your
That
basis, right?
yeah,
So it's all about risk tolerance. So whatever you can tolerate first and foremost. But then you have to think all money aside from money invested, where else could you have made $30,000 at in probably less time or with less effort? So
Mhm.
if you could have
It's
did that as a
kind of
loan rep,
passive.
she definitely could have.
I
well,
mean,
as a loan officer,
She definitely could
so,
you see,
She could have marketed.
you know, well, you asked from my,
Yeah.
as a loan officer, then 30,000 aggressively, right?
right,
2 months,
Mm-hmm.
right,
right? So, I really wanted to make more than that. I thought the house was only going to sell for 240 because remember we priced it, and
right,
at the time it really was, but we
right,
got in this sweet spot,
right.
right between April, 'cause I think we were talking to you in
Yep,
January. So April came and some sweet spot happened.
yep,
Joseph sold a house, Avery sold a house, and then the market hit like 280, 300, and that's
right,
how we were able to get in and not take such a loss. I would
Right.
like to do it, but I would like the formula.
right.
Contractors are hard.
So did you get the formula?
I don't well, no,
65%.
no, I'm
It's
a little,
between 60 and
I got the
say
60 and
75.
75.
Don't go above 75% of the ARV. So if you talk to someone and they say that house is worth $200,000, you do not ever want to be at max 75% all in.
Okay, so the other issue is the contractors, the
Right.
GC.
Y'all just
That
keep
is
going.
more difficult than anything. So I know I'm moving ahead, so we're gonna get to that.
No,
But
that's perfect.
No,
that
Yep,
was the next thing.
she's
So
talking about the issues she was running
yeah,
into.
so if we say, okay, the house was worth, you know, 240, we're gonna multiply that for
right,
those who are watching, 65 to 75%. So now you say, okay, what are the repairs? Now I'm trying to find contractors. I can't get them to show up.
right,
They're just looking at the house. Oh, this is beautiful. this is a beautiful house, Eric. And
Right.
I'm like, yeah, it's kind of like what was happening yesterday. This is that's fine.
Right.
But could you give me an estimate? And could you
Right.
do it detailed? And, with all transparency, I never got a detailed estimate. And for me to be in the business, again, it's super disappointing that I could not get
A
a
friend,
GC
Who
phone a
or
did you
friend.
who did you
Mm.
call to get your contractors from?
um well, Shaka came over. I didn't know like if you wanted to do the work or
Mm.
not.
Mm.
Did you
Um
ask him?
I'm sure, did we ask you?
No, no.
We didn't. We asked for your
They was
opinion.
already moving. So when I
Yeah.
came over in the middle of their, they was
Right.
already having their
So
issue.
when you initially started, how did you find your contractors?
Um well, the cousin was a contractor,
Nope.
right? And I didn't want to do that just
Right.
because of the family and how that can get messy. We went with somewhat of a neutral person that I knew that was
Right.
doing some work. I would absolutely do it different.
Right.
But when you're trying to get a house and you're getting a deal, because the seller was as an agent, he's also a builder, and so he was kind of pressing, and so we were rushing. I would have just passed on the deal because I wanted to get 3 estimates.
Right.
Um, I wanted Rachel to do it.
Who drafted your
Yep.
purchase agreement?
There you
Mhm.
Who drafted your purchase agreement?
He did. He's an agent. We did it if FISBO,
Mm.
Oh,
right?
gotcha. You didn't have an
so
agent working on your behalf.
I didn't have an agent work my head, so I
mhm.
would have waited and gotten 3 estimates. But what I find is it's very hard to find contractors, and so I
D-
would have wanted last night for the contractors to be there because that is the biggest issue, right?
right.
So when I talk to 203K,
Mhm.
I always give them your number.
Mhm.
Excuse me, I have no idea if they call,
Mhm.
but I always give them your number because I'm like, where are you going to find
Mhm.
a GC?
Right.
And those deals fall apart immediately
Right.
because they're looking for Pookie and Ray Ray,
Yeah.
Right.
right?
Right.
So I want to stick to our
No,
outline
no.
Well,
here.
Keep
let
going
me
what you're
let
saying.
me
Um,
Yeah.
let me help you with the contractor piece.
Mhm.
So, I know several good contractors, and we all do flips, and we know contractors. One sitting right here, right? So your contractors come from referrals, just like a good loan rep, just like a good agent. It's just that in your situation, you had a deadline. The seller was pressing you, right? That was your sign to walk away because, like,
Yep.
you couldn't do the due diligence that you wanted, so the deal just wasn't for you. I would have really wanted 2 to 3 contractor bids on that job
absolutely.
because and the right contractor. So, because one thing I tell people, sometimes a hard money lender is actually protecting you, especially a newbie investor,
Mhm.
because they're only going to loan you so much, 65, 70, 70% of the ARV, right? But they're also going to want a scope of work from a contractor.
Right.
And if the contractor can't give you that, that's not the
And the
contractor
deal
to
is dead. I
use.
mean, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Right.
I mean, I look back, but it was a time. It was pressure,
Right.
because we know what Bagley is selling for,
Yeah.
I'm
right?
gonna tell y'all the real truth about her deal though. So this is what I find with newbie investors.
Right.
So when I came over there, they were in the demo phase and they kind of knew what they was doing. And so at that point, I said, "Stop demoing."
Right.
Right? Because so what happened is I see a lot of newer investors. They go in there and they're thinking flip that house.
Right.
Eric and them house came out. That was a nice house. That was a really nice flip. But I don't spend all that money. They didn't have to do that.
Right.
You know what I mean? They could have spent way less money, took way less time, and made more profit.
Right.
You know?
But I think that had I gotten one GC,
Hmm.
right, it would have been, I don't want to say like package deal, but I
Right.
think it would have been more like a package deal. We were talking about how it was all, um, I call it nickel
Piece
and dime. It was
together.
pieced
Yeah.
together.
Mhm.
Right.
Had we had the GC, I think it would have been, and my profit would have been more.
It
Right.
So
Or you
depends.
would have seen the GC numbers and been like,
Mhm.
no,
No,
this
I
is
ain't
not
doing
going
it
no,
to
I'm
then.
work.
not doing
Right.
it. So
Right.
Mhm.
with that, so the formula, what you want to net. So we had an idea what we wanted to net, but we really couldn't figure out what we could net because we couldn't have numbers.
Right.
So for me, even this is what I would want to know. What is the formula? and hey, what do you want in net? And then you say this is a no-go or deal or no,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And
That's a no
then
deal.
here's your 3 GCs,
Mhm.
Right.
right? To
Right.
go through the house and do, you know, an estimate of all the repairs.
Mhm.
And
Right.
then after that, there was utilities, there were holding costs,
Yep.
there were unexpected issues with the plumbing, right? We spent a lot of money on them plumbing issues, and we didn't know anything about it. It was thousands of dollars at
Right.
the end. So, what is it called? A contingency,
Mhm.
Yep.
like a 20 or 30% contingency on top of.
Probably 10. Yeah.
That's why that
Usually it's
65%
like
Yeah.
10.
is
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
big.
probably
Yeah,
10.
and then
Yeah.
you do the holding costs, and so
Right.
it ended. It was a mortgage. Um, I would have wanted the formula,
Mm.
Right.
So
and I
you
think
were
our investors yesterday don't have the formula.
Mm.
It wasn't
They
like
They
that.
have
they
their
had
own.
it. They
so
didn't
you
say it.
They have their own formula though.
so you were talking about getting a GC over there. When I first started, long time ago, I would pay. So some people I would pay for my like if I hit a general contractor up, I would pay for a bid
Mm.
or and I would get that from a couple people. But then I also would find people. I would go and find a couple people who does concrete or drywall and plumbing, and then I would meet these people and have them come to the house. They would give me their bids. These are bids that I don't necessarily have to pay for, because they're not running a business per se.
Mhm.
But what you're doing is you're getting a feel for those people, and then you're gonna decide if you're gonna give them an opportunity to fuck your shit up.
Yep. And
She
then
was
at least you
GCing
getting
her
the cost
Or-
for each piece of it, right?
Mhm. She was
Because if you have
GCing.
your concrete guy and you have your electrician, you start getting costs for those individual
Mhm.
items, and you
exactly.
can put it together. Um,
There's
one
an
of the
interview process.
one of the speakers did say something that I always say. Most people know this. You make your money when you buy the property, not in the deal. So, like when we talk about formula, you look, okay, I'm buying this property for 90. What are my holding costs? What are the contingencies, right? And then you say, okay, is this deal still worth it? So, up front, it was just mistakes, rookie mistakes that was made that you could have avoided. But
And she didn't call until she was already
yeah,
in the
Hmm.
goddamn deal.
yeah, you
Well,
call
But
after the fact.
but let me say one more thing though for people on that. So there's an easier way because people always want. I get calls all the time for quotes.
Right,
I don't want to do nobody quote. Like you know what I mean. I'm
right,
busy. Like I don't mind coming and bid your project if
right.
I don't know. Do you negotiate your quotes with your contractors that you work with?
Nah.
You get what I'm saying?
So I'm gonna have two. I get two bids from contractors that I like dealing with,
Mm-hmm.
and those numbers just the
That's it. What it
numbers.
is, right?
And my thing too, like sometimes I pay a little bit more based on their timeline
For
hmm
sure.
because the good contractors, I had contractors I had to wait 3 weeks on,
Mm-hmm.
but they came and knocked the job out in
For
a
sure.
month and a half versus 3 months.
But if we using that formula though, so this is easier way for that I tell people. So if you're using that formula, let's say the ARV was 200,000, and if you're using the 65%, then you got 130 all in. So if you purchase the property at 100,000, that means you only got $30,000 to do your rehab. So now you can start. So you can start knowing if certain things is realistic. If you know you only got 30,000, you can't go in there redoing the kitchen. Tearing out the kitchen, tearing out 2 bathrooms, repainting everything, doing the drains, what else they do over there? Y'all did
So we did
uh
kitchen, bathrooms, we redid the floors,
yeah,
the
y'all way
walls
over the budget.
were
You know what I mean?
terrible, skimming.
Right.
But let me go back on this one too. So can I move ahead?
Go
Yep.
ahead.
All right. So picking the property. So I'm an investor. Where do I find a property?
Mm.
So that's where I'm at
That's
now.
also
So
Where?
so there wholesalers, agents, like you found your property, neighborhood, spirit influence, people you already know.
Not for me. So the people that were there last night,
Right,
right? Different walks of life, right?
right,
We had different ethnicities, and I saw it, and they were taking notes. But I'm
right,
like, if I wanted, I got $100,000,
right,
right? Well, actually, I just spoke to a woman not even 2 hours ago. She said, Erica, I've got $500,000.
right.
Where do I buy? I could not answer the
Oh, you
question.
talking about where areas?
No, where do I find a house? She literally asked me where, And I'm like, I'm going on the podcast and I'm going to share it with you
Right.
because that's what we want to know. I got some money.
Right.
And how do I find a house? That is not
I got an answer.
easy.
Oh, that's
Well,
an
I got the
easy.
Nobody
Yeah.
easiest
and
answer in the
nobody talked
world.
Yeah.
about it last night.
Well,
They talked about the tax, they talked about the land bank, but
Right.
they never said, here's the website, here's the
There's no
link.
website though.
But they never gave instructions. See, I'm new. Even though
Right.
I'm in lending, I'm still very ignorant to investing. So where I'm gonna ask you for
Yeah,
those
let
who are
Shaka
watching.
give
Let
his,
let Shaka
Yeah,
say it,
Shaka.
and then I'm gonna
to
fill it in.
me, like, so when I first came into investing, the first thing that I hired was a realtor.
Right.
Right? That's the first person that I hired. I wanna get a realtor that's gonna be able to show me houses. They're gonna know the area. If you have a good realtor, they should know all that information. They
Right.
should be able to give me my ARVs. You know what I
Right.
mean? They should be able to. If you knew, they may. If you got a good realtor, they should be able to point you in some of the direction of some of the good contractors.
Right.
You know what I mean? So the realtor, I feel like, is your best friend when you're trying to buy a house as a brand. There are other ways. You can't go through the wholesalers, but
Right.
we already know that the wholesalers
But they don't
they
know.
playing a different game.
But you
So
gotta.
we just,
Yeah,
I'm
you go
sorry.
ahead.
So I don't know if you had a chance to review what I sent you back, but in
Mhm.
my opinion, so we we get deals from wholesalers often.
Mhm.
A lot of times I don't buy from wholesaler because it's not a good deal, but they done put together some numbers, and this is I'm not trying to hate on y'all. I promise. I know some good ones out there. I just haven't. But a lot of times the numbers are not right. So Shaka sent me a deal yesterday, and I looked at it. I'm like, 170, not 200. And when I look, and it's based on how we look at value,
Mhm.
we have to do it in a safe way. We can look at it and say, maybe we can get to 200 or
Stretch.
220 or whatever, but we have to stay at that safe number. So like wholesalers are cool, especially if you can find somebody who knows like what they're doing. Like a John Clear, I think, but he's a wholesaler. Like he's a licensed agent. He knows his stuff. He knows what he's
But I'm
doing.
new. I'm still.
So
I gotta like focus.
Realtor.
I don't know an agent that can help me.
I'm on.
We're talking
know a
about the
bunch of
investors that are in the room last night. I know everybody.
Right.
Hello,
Oh
everybody.
yeah, she's talking about.
okay.
She's
Oh,
talking
yeah,
about
I'm
in
you
the
talking.
room.
saying.
Right.
Good.
I'm an investor.
thought you
I'm
were
in the
saying that.
room,
Right.
and I need to know a good agent. I don't know where to start. So
Interview agents,
Yeah.
and
Okay,
then start
okay,
having
so-
So like
agents send
last
you
night
stuff.
when we went to like the little where they talk afterwards, like they was sitting there, like pulling out their phones, showing me. That was like, oh my God, you're giving me so much information.
Right.
Like, thank you so much. I'm just showing them the map. The same thing that young boy was doing when he got up there. Showing them. So, but it's more so when I'm advising, it's based off of me. So Shaka has a way that he looks at property. Reggie has a way that he looks at property. I have a way that I look at property. And how you find property is, I think Shaka's suggestion, you get a realtor and hire one, interview a couple of them, maybe do a couple deals and find the one that fits you best. If you are in the business or maybe you're experienced or you got some knowledge from
Right.
somewhere, like for me, I just went off what I knew. I'm from Detroit. I understand the city. I've seen it in different waves. I've lived all over it, west side, east side, the middle side, like everywhere, literally. And um I'm not a like I just have I understand like where it's been and where it's going,
So you
right?
ain't gonna be normal.
But
So
So,
yeah,
but
let
the
yeah.
young boy yesterday, he invests the same way that I invest.
Mhm.
He's coming from a different perspective because obviously he's not from Detroit. He's from he say New York
Yeah.
and Miami, and now he's here because he feels like the equity is here in this land. But he understands my way of finding property.
Right.
realtor.
Let me
So
let,
I'm saying
no.
from.
Let me
Go ahead.
tell you the way. You brand new to real estate investing. You got some money. You find a realtor that knows about investing, right? How many investors do you work with? What's your experience with investing? Do you invest yourself? Then you go to a meetup, like a regular real estate investment group meetup. You look for those. In addition to that, you advertise that you buy homes. Them the three best ways. Because when you go to the meetup, you're going to meet other realtors, you're going to meet wholesalers, and you announce that you're looking to buy homes. And you have your formula, you tell them what you're looking for. The realtor's gonna be working for you. The wholesaler's gonna put you on the list. They're gonna email you. Even if they're garbage deals, there's gonna be one or two that
Yeah.
come across the table that may make sense, or it may be something that makes sense, but the numbers aren't right, and you can negotiate the price down. Then when you advertise to everybody, your family, friends, let everybody know that you're investing in real estate, and that word of mouth will start happening. Oh, my cousin buy homes, or they're looking to buy and invest in real estate, and word to get around. So those are the three best ways to go out
So
about and
so
find
I think those
properties.
are really good ways. But I'm saying, right, I'm going from my experience. So they grew up a little bit different than me, right? They're second generation realtors, and they've been in the business, right?
That's why we right.
Right. But I came in not knowing nothing, right? I don't know nothing about real estate investing at all. And then I got a couple dollars and I want to go invest in real estate. And so what Reggie's suggestion is those are all good ways, but that could be information overload, and you got to cipher through all that information. I think his first answer is the best answer. Find you a investor friendly realtor, because that person is going to give. So wholesalers are trying to make money off of. They make the money the higher they sell the property, and I know that the agent does too. But that
Different.
yeah, the commission percentage between $20,000 difference is low. Whereas $20,000 is real $20,000 for a wholesaler.
Yeah.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So I feel like the first person you reach out to is a realtor. So I reached out to a realtor. He would find all my deals. He would give me my ARVs. He would show me my different comps. He would walk me through in the comps. He'll say, "Here, this is a comp for one of the properties you're trying to buy," and so that I would understand. That's how I learned.
hmm
Yeah. And if you got
Um,
500,000, call Reggie.
right.
Right.
So, research too. So that's the thing that I'm learning from the out of town investors that are coming here and they're buying property and then they're doing some of our jobs too, and they're not even licensed, but it's the research. They're sitting somewhere. I don't it's YouTube University, Google, they're looking at the maps, they're looking at the city plans, but they're getting the information quickly and they are successful.
And they got a realtor. I guarantee you. They calling the
The other
realtor
thing too,
that they
to
asking.
Shaka's point, so my first investment deal in 2004, it was the same. So, yes, I was a. Did I have my license? Yes, I had my license. Um, and I wanted to be an investor. I wanted to find property, but I already knew how to go and look for property. But the two people that decided to partner up with me, I was there. They trusted me to find the property and understand that we would be able to sell it for a profit.
Okay, so I have a question. So what about this land bank and they mentioned city?
Stay the hell
Yep.
away from all that as
If
a new
you
investor.
if you brand new, it's probably not the. If you like brand new, like no real estate experience whatsoever, I don't think that's the best route to go, because you're gonna have a timeline, um, and then it's just a different monster,
hmm
right? So like
The
you got a 6 month timeline to fix it. Well, if you brand new, you don't know what properties you shouldn't buy in the wintertime.
hmm
Like if you need concrete roof work and all of that, and you gotta wait 3 months before you can do the work, it's not the best route.
hmm
So and then even with the land bank, you gotta submit documentation and everything and a proposal. You might not get approved to buy the property, even though you got the money to do it.
hmm
So I think that's more for an experienced
And they
investor.
got deed restrictions.
Yeah. So
Okay. So as far as now I get calls a lot about I've got this house and I need money. That
right,
was the other thing. They didn't talk about any funding. I was a little late.
right.
But obviously as a traditional lender, I don't have rehab money. Actually, Next Door
They
Lending does have rehab, but what I mean is you got to fit. So they didn't talk about financing. A lot of their credit isn't where it needs to be.
right.
So some of the, I think I was dealing with Kiavi for a minute. They've got credit score. So it's like, hey, I got this property. I need to rehab it. It's got all this equity. The ARV is here. But where do I get the money? So for the people that have got
There
low
No,
credit, where
there
they
were
definitely
lenders.
talk. Yeah.
Yeah, there were lenders there earlier because they had the wants and needs. So people that do private money and hard money lending, they were there. So you'll find them
Mhm.
in those rooms because they're trying to, if you find a property, the money will follow you, right? So now they may not give you the same deals as Kiavi and a lower rate, and some of them are gonna structure their deals different. So you'll probably pay back more money sometime, and some of them would give you better financing options where it's 100% all in. So it's different ways to get the money, but you just got to be in the right rooms with the
Yeah.
people.
And so I want to go back. So because it was a really good meeting, they did have realtors. They had realtors get up there and say, I'm an investor friendly realtor. They had lenders saying, hey, they was doing everything but waving the flag saying, I got money for you.
Right.
So then you're supposed to, listen real hard and take that number, or either go up to them after the meeting and, make sure you got their information so that now that's somebody you got in your back pocket.
So the answer
Right.
is go to the meetings. So if you go
Yeah.
to the meetings and shit, I ain't gonna lie, I wanted to leave that meeting about 5 times.
I did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So
But if you go to the meetings, you will get the information as in regards to the private and the hard money
Right.
lenders.
mhm. Uh,
So go ahead.
look at the difference. I was just gonna say when you got finished, the difference between private and hard money funding is kind of what Reggie was more so talking
Mhm.
about. So again, I love hard money lenders. I always have. I don't count other people's money, and I think that's a lot of times where people go wrong with hard money lenders. They're so worried about like how much money they're gonna make off the deal, and so
Yeah,
they, new and not getting off the ground and can't get started because
let's
you worried about
go a
the
little bit further than she was talking
yeah.
about though. So if you just coming in new, you don't care about that. Like
Right.
that has to
That's
be
me.
go into. I mean, it really does it because you
Right.
don't able to. If you don't have the money, you don't have a deal.
Right.
That's
So
what I'm saying.
whatever it costs is the cost,
Right.
right?
Okay,
It's the
so
same way as the contractor.
so typically, so here, someone calls me, they want to buy a primary house. I can say what a person needs. So how much money would an investor need to buy a house? Is there a certain percentage? Do we need 10%,
Depending
20%
on the
if we're going to go with financing?
You gotta
Yep,
shop your
What do
list.
they usually want?
depending on the lender, some lenders will say 10%, some will say 20%. You actually have some that'll do 100% if the deal is right. So again, it's all about formulas and risks.
But does
But
credit play a piece with the hard
not
money?
all
Not
the
typically
time.
with hard. So that's what I was getting to. The
Yep.
difference between hard money and private funding most of the time is the hard money is typically very like asset based. They don't care if they like you and you can kind of show them that you're gonna get it done within a timeline and you're gonna agree to their terms, you're probably gonna get the money for your project.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. But I should. I mean, so y'all saying the difference between? I feel like private money and hard money is damn near the same,
You can get
depending
better
on.
rates with like private. So like when she said Kiavi, so Kiavi is more of like a private lender. They are gonna give you a better rate than say Bob that stood up and said, "Call me at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6."
Maybe. So that's what I'm saying. So private money and hard money is pretty much the same to me. Like it's not based on your credit at all. It's based on the deal, and then the rate that you're going to get from whoever you're getting the money from depends on what you negotiate, right?
Yeah, so when you call a place like a Kiavi or some of these other banks that are investor friendly and have those products, you're gonna be at different tiers based on your credit. So some of them won't go
Yep.
below a certain credit score, and the better your credit score is, the better interest rates you get
I
And
got
a lower down
I got a
payment.
and the
question.
lower down
Again,
payments you get.
some hard money lenders, if you got some experience and you build a relationship, they'll say, okay, your first deal 20% down, next deal you'll get down to 10%, 5% or whatever, and then you're going to have different options for rates. So if you're going to do a 12-month or a 24-month, it's still some room to negotiate, but they still have like some boundaries what they're going to protect themselves and their risks as well.
How y'all
Um,
differentiating between private and hard money?
I'm
Private
different.
is the
Yep.
individual or a person that's just saying, "Hey, I got some money and I'm loaning it
Hmm.
out,"
Hmm.
and I'm flexible with the terms. For
Hmm.
hard money lenders, they already got like their terms like a mortgage
Private.
company, right?
But they
So
just
that's the
so he just
difference.
said the same thing. So you
He
see how
said hard. He said
he
hard money twice by mistake.
no, he
Yeah.
didn't do it by mistake. He was explaining. So what he just explained is that what I'm saying. I don't know how you. What is John?
He's hard money.
Is he?
Yeah. So he on a gap, he's gonna charge you
I ain't talking about
20.
on the gap. I'm talking about on the first position loan. What is he?
So I'm gonna answer the question the way I like.
But you changing the
So
you
because
can't
I'm
change
not,
it.
so he loans that particular person that you just brought up, he loans differently, and he often charges much more than what we're gonna get if we go to a bank like a Kiavi.
Don't
So
agree.
we just closed one of our loans where we have like a 7.5% rate, and we're gonna be in that loan probably for 30
On
years.
a refi.
Okay, but that's still that's
No?
a private, those are it was a DSCR loan, and that's not your standard, but anyways, so DSCR is a QM or a non-QM
It's a
product.
non-QM.
So it's a non-QM product. So that's what I'm saying. So it's a non-QM product, and it still was a fairly decent rate, and we're not gonna get that from a hard money lender. Typically, they want their money back in 6 months. If you're experienced, you can press them on that. And then their rates are typically going to be like 3 to 5% higher than your bigger companies, your private funded companies. And then if you want them to take bigger risks, then their prices go up from there. And then if you want to get into where somebody's going to give you 100% of your funding, they probably want 25% easy.
So
Right.
you gave
Mm.
so
But
many different scenarios there, and that's why I just
So
say
just all right.
private.
So finding, yeah.
Yeah.
So my other question was now rehab. How long should rehabs take?
Mm.
it
Right. So I get those calls a lot too.
mhm.
Hey, Eric, I need to refi out of this investment property. Um, the lender, they gave me 6 months or 12 months. I got a refi. Right.
Right.
Mhm.
But I think it took 9 months.
Mm.
Right. So typically, what shouldn't a rehab take 3 to 6 months?
It
Uh,
depends.
Depending on how much work, but that goes back into the formula. That's what I shoot for, 3 months. Anything longer than that, I don't want to do the deal because it's tying my money up too long.
Mm.
So because you're going from 3 months rehab, another month or two on the market, another month or two to close, that's just too long for a project. But most of the flips I've done has been like 3 months or less. But
Can you gut a house and get it complete in 3 months?
yeah,
Depending on who you hire.
depends on who you
Okay.
hire.
I'm thinking
Yep.
because you hear
That wouldn't
that.
be a realistic
Yeah.
ask. So if you were gutting the house down to
Just
the
just the
studs,
kitchen and bathrooms.
oh
Let
yeah,
me let me say
yeah,
that.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you got the kitchen and
Hmm.
baths,
You're talking about
Right.
fairly cosmetic with
Hmm.
a
Re-
couple,
and it can be done in
yeah.
90 days.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All
Yep.
right.
Your stuff could have been done fast, but I'm tell you this. So they always say, right? Cheap, you can't get all, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to get it done fast, I could come in there and do some shit real fast,
Right.
but I'm gonna charge you for it. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? And most people don't want to pay. So then now, if you don't want to pay, if you want to get it at a discounted rate or at a lower rate, then now you're gonna have to come in. You're gonna be on the schedule. You're gonna be put on the schedule that on my schedule. You know what I mean? That allows me to optimize my time. But if you want me to come in there and knock your stuff out real fast, I can.
Yeah,
You're just
because
gonna pay for it.
good contractors usually have several jobs going. Their painters are all going in from this house to that house to the next one. So they have to have an efficient system going on. But if you say, I need this done by this date and it say 60 days, now they're pulling people off of other jobs. They're holding off on other money to come do your job. So that's going to come at a premium price.
100%.
So if you allow the contractor to work within their system, you can still get the same quality of work, probably without that upcharge on it as well.
Okay.
So if I'm doing demo on this house, I might got 2 or 3 demos going at once, and I can just send my guys from one to the next. He may be subbing out the roofing job, but he got 6 roofing jobs to do. So where you're thinking like nobody's over here doing a roof and it's been a week already. No, you just number 4 in line.
Mhm.
So my roofer is going from this house to that house to that one, and then they'll be on yours. But if you say you want this roof done by this Saturday, then it's probably gonna cost you because now I'm missing out on money over here.
Okay. So we got get into some investor groups, attend the meetings,
Right,
find some investor friendly agents,
right.
right? Do some research on them.
Yep.
Okay. Um, Try to get some financing, right? Credit need to be, I would say, decent and have anywhere between 10 to 20% possibly as a newbie.
I don't feel like credit is
Credit's not a factor.
a
Well,
factor at
credit not
all.
a factor, but when it
It
comes to
would
me,
help.
if you're trying to buy and hold, I need the credit to
Oh
be
yeah,
decent
yeah,
Yeah.
for the DSCR loan, right?
Yeah,
for sure.
it
At
it
least a 620 credit score.
this is why I say it helps, because if you run into a situation where you can't get it done before that balance is due, you're probably going to have to refinance or do something. So credit helps. And then when you go to different lenders that will look at your credit and give you a different rate, then maybe that'll help you as well. So don't neglect credit altogether, but is it absolutely necessary? No. The
Mhm.
deal, the money is in the deal, not based on the credit. They're all asset
Mhm.
based.
So
Okay.
Right.
he's talking about like opening up your options for exit strategies.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I was talking
Yeah.
about.
And
The
you
exit
have to have
strategies.
an
If
exit
you,
strategy.
in case you can't
Right.
sell or it's a buy and hold. Um, okay. All right. I feel a little bit better.
So we got one more. Pick one good one, because we got to wrap it up.
Okay. One good one. Um, I would like for you guys to email me the formula. So you have, I thought I saw on one of the shows that you had like an Excel sheet or something. Didn't you have something like that, Shaka?
I gave you the formula. You got the formula
Yeah.
already, but I sent it to you again.
I know I got it, but I'm
Text
just
it to you
saying,
in the middle of
yeah,
the
right.
night.
Just in case somebody on here wanted
70% all in should be your max.
70.
65% is the target.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
agree.
if the house is worth whatever that dollar amount is, 100,000, you want to be 70,000 maximum all in, but preferably 65,000. But then the issue with that is you would have to say to yourself, is this worth me making $30,000?
But what about the holding cost, right?
Exactly. So
Is
you
that
start
is that
factoring.
is that 65? Is it low because you've already factored in
Right.
You got it.
That's
holding
why you do
cost?
65.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
That's already factored
That's gonna
in.
give you all your. That's gonna help you with everything. That's
Yeah.
gonna help you with your contingencies, your holding costs, your
So,
everything.
okay, so 65,000 should include
65%.
I'm off
Of
of
100.
100.
Mm-hmm.
That
Right.
should include holding cost and the rehab and whatever I purchased it for.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay.
Now, if you got a lender, now here's where it's a preference. So if you got a lender that's giving you 100% of everything, repairs, and you come in almost like zero down, one of those loans, you may say, okay, I'm just covering the holding costs out of pocket. So you might have like 5 or 6,000 of your own money over that period of time, and you may can eat that because you're gonna make 50 or 60,000 profit off of it. So your
Mhm.
investment is 5 or 6,000 to make 50 or 60.
Okay. Now they kept saying their biggest mistakes was mentors. So if
Mhm.
we find an investor friendly agent, do I still need a mentor?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I
Yeah,
still
you
need a
need somebody
mentor.
that's done it. Hopefully, that agent actually invests themselves.
Hmm.
So here's the biggest thing, right? Um, so this is where you get the difference between some wholesalers and realtors. Some wholesalers get it. As a realtor, I need you to make money because you're coming back. So if I sell you a property and your goal is to flip it, I need you to be able to list that property and flip it as soon as possible because I'm going to make money again when I list it. When I list that property, I'm advertising to the rest of the neighborhood that we sold this property, which attract more sellers. Some of those sellers are going to sell their properties as is. And I'm going to bring those deals back to you and say, hey, would you like to do it again? So now you become a lifelong client and you're making money and I'm making money. But if I come to you with a deal and you walk away with $5,000, you're going to be like,
I ain't doing
oh,
this
I
shit
don't
ever
like doing
again.
this no more. Right? So now I lost a client. I made my money, but you didn't make nothing. And you just like, I'm done. I'm out the game. So I
One
need
hit
to
wonder.
keep you in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So are you a mentor?
Yeah.
What about you, Johnita, Shaka? Would y'all mentor?
I ain't a mentor, but I'll talk to people all the time.
I need a mentor.
It's a
I'm a
Oh,
sales
I
mentor.
help
pitch.
I
you.
keep telling you all the time.
I want
Erica
a
got
men.
everybody in her bag.
I
You
don't.
swear.
Ain't nobody in this
When you
bag.
call me and I haven't showed up.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Right.
Janita is a mentor.
Yep.
Reggie is a mentor, and Shaka just
You just ask me questions
just
when you need some
just ask Shaka some
information.
questions.
Yeah. Now, when you call me, though, it's not, I don't need
Well,
an
our
hour
situation
long
was unique,
conversation.
right? Our conversation was unique, but for the situation I meant was unique,
Right.
right? It was very sensitive, so I get that,
Right.
right? But for the new investors, right,
Right.
we want investor friendly. We want Janita and Reggie, who are both
I'm not
investors.
very investor friendly though. But so I will mentor and talk how we talk and give
Right.
information.
Okay.
But in terms of me being the agent that's gonna run around,
Okay.
yeah,
I
Okay.
feel like you
See,
got
I
to be.
have agents on my team now to do that
Okay. Well,
yeah.
for you.
Janita ain't it, guys. So
No,
she a mentor.
she's it.
She
But
right.
so here's the difference. If somebody brand new calls Janita and say, I'm looking to buy a house, I got the money or I got funding, and she says this is how you get started and this is what you do, and she finds them a house and they listen to her and they buy a
Yeah.
good deal because they now know what a good deal is, she'll probably show them that property.
Yes.
But if you just out here, well, my budget is, it depends, or I might do this. I don't know if I want to flip. I don't know if I want to
And you
hold.
telling me how to
I'm
do it?
Yeah, I'm not running around. I
Mm-mm.
have agents on my team now to show you homes, but I can't spend a lot of time just running around. But I am investor friendly. My team is investor friendly, but I'm just not going to be the one showing you 15 or 20 homes and doing all of that.
Reggie said the same thing I just
And that's
said.
a wrap.
Well,